Here is what your last meal of the day is doing to your liver right now, and why most people over 60 have no idea it is happening. Your liver does not send warning signals the way your heart does. No pressure, no tightening, no feeling you can identify. It simply absorbs the damage quietly, year after year, until a routine blood test reveals what has been building in silence. I am Dr. Chima Okoye, a board-certified internal medicine physician with over 15 years of clinical focus on metabolic health for adults over 60. Before this video ends, I will give you the 3 best fruits to eat before bed for your liver, including one that most people in their 60s have been told to avoid, which turns out to be among the most powerful on this list. There is a 2-minute bedtime blend at the end as well. And if you are watching this worried the damage is already done, it is not too late. Now, let me tell you something your doctor has almost certainly never had time to explain. Your liver is not resting while you sleep. The moment your last meal is fully absorbed, the liver enters its most metabolically intensive phase of the entire day. The best analogy I have found is a hospital. During the day, the emergency department is in reactive mode, handling whatever arrives as it comes. But the deep surgical work, the scheduled repairs, the procedures that require a quiet and settled environment, those happen in the overnight hours. That is your liver from roughly 10 at night until your first meal of the morning. During those hours, a functioning liver does remarkable work. It pulls excess fat out of the bloodstream and oxidizes it for fuel. It converts metabolic waste into forms the body can safely eliminate. It rebuilds its own damaged cells, and it resets insulin sensitivity so your blood sugar responds better the following day. All of those processes depend on one condition: no new material flooding the system. When your last food of the evening is starchy or sweet, cereal, juice, crackers, a late dessert, the liver cannot begin clearing. It stays in processing mode, stores additional fat instead of clearing existing fat, and the window closes without doing the work it was built for. This happens silently. No signal, no discomfort, no warning. For most people over 60, it has been happening for years. The 3 fruits I am about to show you are chosen precisely because they support the liver during that window, not interrupt it. The first fruit is tart cherries. Before you scroll past this one, I want 60 seconds of your attention, because most people have never heard the specific reason tart cherries belong in your evening rather than your morning. The Montmorency variety of tart cherry is one of the very few whole foods on Earth that contain naturally occurring melatonin in a biologically meaningful amount. Most people know melatonin as a sleep supplement. What almost nobody knows is that the melatonin in tart cherries does not arrive alone. It arrives alongside a class of antioxidant pigments called anthocyanins, the deep red compounds in the cherry skin. And that combination is what makes this fruit distinctly valuable for liver health at night in a way a supplement alone cannot replicate. Here is the mechanism. Your liver's ability to clear fat during the overnight hours is not a liver-only problem. It is directly gated by the quality of your sleep. Research consistently shows that disrupted or shallow sleep, reduced slow-wave sleep in particular, impairs the liver's capacity to oxidize fatty acids. In plain language, a poor night's sleep does not just leave you tired the next morning. It leaves your liver carrying a backlog of unprocessed fat that it simply did not have time to clear. The deep sleep stages are when hepatic fat oxidation is most active. Cut those short, and you cut the liver's clearing short with them. This is especially important for adults over 60, where sleep quality declines and the deep restorative stages shorten first. If the liver's clearing window keeps getting cut off night after night, the fat simply compounds silently without a warning. Tart cherries address this from 2 directions at once. Research from Louisiana State University found that tart cherry consumption in older adults produced significant improvements in sleep duration and efficiency. These were older participants, not young study subjects. Longer, deeper sleep directly extends the window in which your liver performs its most active fat-clearing work. The anthocyanins then act on the liver directly. Inside liver cells, anthocyanins suppress the specific inflammatory signaling compounds that accelerate tissue damage when fat is present. This is not a vague antioxidant claim. It is a targeted anti-inflammatory effect at the level of liver tissue. You get two mechanisms working simultaneously: better sleep that opens the liver's clearing window, and direct cellular protection for the tissue doing that work. Here is how to use this fruit tonight. About 90 minutes before bed, eat 1 cup of fresh or frozen tart cherries. Montmorency is the variety to look for. It carries the highest concentrations of both melatonin and anthocyanins of any cherry studied. Frozen is equally effective and considerably cheaper than fresh. And here is the mistake I see constantly. People reach for a bottle labeled tart cherry juice without reading the ingredient list. Many of these products blend tart cherry concentrate with sweet apple or grape juice, carrying enough added sugar to spike blood glucose at the exact moment your liver was about to begin its clearing cycle. That works against everything we are building toward tonight. Read the label. 1 ingredient, tart cherry, nothing else. The second fruit on this list reaches your liver through your gut, and that distinction matters more than most people realize. Dragon fruit is known for its appearance. What is rarely discussed is what happens inside those small black seeds threaded throughout the flesh. They contain prebiotic oligosaccharides, fiber your stomach and small intestine cannot digest. They reach the colon intact, where they feed beneficial bacteria, particularly bifidobacterium and lactobacillus strains. Those bacteria produce short-chain fatty acids, primarily butyrate and propionate, as a direct byproduct of fermentation. Here is why that matters overnight. Short-chain fatty acids travel directly to the liver via the portal vein. Propionate, once there, suppresses de novo lipogenesis, the process by which the liver converts surplus carbohydrates into stored fat even when no food is arriving. A liver with adequate propionate signaling clears existing fat during the overnight window instead of generating new deposits. Dragon fruit also contains beta-cyanins, the vivid red pigments concentrated in the red flesh variety. These compounds reduce oxidative stress markers inside liver cells and interrupt inflammatory pathways directly tied to hepatic fat accumulation. Here's what surprises most people. Dragon fruit does contain natural sugars, and that leads many to avoid it before bed. But its glycemic index is considerably lower than its sugar content implies, because the gel-forming fiber in the flesh slows glucose absorption and prevents the blood sugar spike that would interrupt your liver's clearing cycle. Choose the red flesh variety when available. Half a cup, no later than 2 hours before bed, seeds included. Those seeds are the prebiotic mechanism. And here is something I wish someone had told me earlier in my career. Everything I have covered tonight connects directly to blood sugar. And I am going to be completely candid with you about what happens next, because my 12-minute clinic appointments never gave me the time to say this. You can close this video right now and change nothing. But I want you to understand exactly what you are choosing to lose. When you were younger, your blood sugar peaked after dinner and cleared in 2 hours. After 60, that changes. Your muscle mass decreases, your insulin sensitivity drops, and here is the cruel irony. The window when your blood sugar is highest is the exact window when you are sitting on the couch watching television. If you do not intervene, you are spending 3 to 4 hours every single night sitting in elevated glucose, 160, 180, sometimes over 200. You aren't just losing your evenings to brain fog and fatigue. You are actively losing your body's ability to repair itself. You are losing deep, restorative sleep because your body is generating inflammatory compounds overnight. You are leaving morning clarity on the table. You are waking up stiff and tired and sacrificing the energy you were supposed to have for your retirement. Night after night, 365 nights a year. That compounding damage is what steals your independence. The gap isn't a lack of information, it is a lack of a system. That is why I built the 7 p.m. rule. It is a 21-day evening reset specifically for adults over 60 who are tired of losing their evenings to stubborn blood sugar. Just to show you what happens when you stop losing those evenings, listen to what happened with Helen, a 67-year-old who started the protocol last month. She wrote to me saying, "Dr. Okoye, I spent 3 years believing my afternoon exhaustion and high fasting numbers were just a normal part of getting older. By week 2 of following the 7 p.m. cutoff and using the fruit blends, my morning brain fog completely lifted, and my doctor was thrilled with my latest numbers. I didn't need more medication. I just didn't know my liver needed a break." Helen is not an exception. She just stopped working against her body. This program is a step-by-step, 15-minute daily system that interrupts that exact post-dinner spike. When you don't have a system like this, you miss out on simple, zero-cost biological levers. For example, just by using the plate order fix inside this program, you could reduce your post-meal spikes by up to 37% without changing a single food you eat. Inside, you get the complete 3-phase protocol, the chair-safe movement routines for those with bad joints, the 21-day printable tracker, and exact word-for-word scripts to hand to your doctor at your next visit so you finally get taken seriously. The entire 21-day program costs less than a single copay for a specialist visit that will likely just end in another prescription. The question isn't whether you can afford the program. The question is whether you can afford to lose another year of evenings to a problem we already know how to fix. Click the very first link in the description below or in the pinned comment to get instant access to the tracker, the doctor scripts, and the daily protocol. Download it right now, and let's actually fix tomorrow morning by starting tonight. The third fruit gets overlooked constantly. It sits beside apples in nearly every produce section, similar in shape and close in price. Most people treat them as interchangeable. They are not. The fiber profile of a pear is categorically different from that of an apple, and that difference is why it belongs on this list. Pears contain pectin, a form of soluble fiber, but not in the same structure found in apples. Pear pectin carries an unusually high degree of methylation, a molecular property that changes how the fiber behaves in the gut. Highly methylated pectin forms a dense, viscous gel during transit. That gel binds with particular efficiency to bile acids. Your liver produces bile acids continuously as part of fat digestion. After they complete their work, the body attempts to recycle them, reabsorbing them in the small intestine and returning them to the liver for reuse. This loop runs even during the overnight hours. When the liver is already managing fat oxidation and cellular repair, that recycling burden is an added cost on an organ already working hard. Pear pectin disrupts that loop. The gel it forms binds bile acids before reabsorption and escorts them out through elimination. The liver must then synthesize new bile acids from cholesterol, reducing the liver's cholesterol burden as a secondary outcome. The overnight clearing window gains reduced competition. There is a developing body of research examining the relationship between pear polyphenols and ALT levels, one of the primary enzymes physicians use to assess hepatic stress. The human data is early and not yet conclusive. Now, the skin. This is not negotiable. The phenolic compounds most associated with liver protection in pears, including quercetin and chlorogenic acid, are concentrated overwhelmingly in and just beneath the skin. Peeling a pear removes the majority of those compounds. The flesh alone is pleasant. The skin is the reason you are eating it. Among common varieties, Bosc stands out. Its skin is denser and more deeply pigmented than Bartlett or Anjou, and the phenolic concentration per gram is measurably higher. For evening use, eat one medium Bosc pear with the skin 60 to 90 minutes before bed. One practical pairing worth trying, a small amount of freshly grated ginger alongside it. Gingerols and shogalls in ginger independently support bile flow from the liver and reduce gastric transit time, giving the pear's pectin more time to perform its binding function before it exits the system. In a moment, I will show you how all three of these fruits come together in a 2-minute bedtime blend, with exact timing so each one lands when your liver can actually use it. Here is how all three fruits come together in one simple evening ritual I call the Liver Reset Evening Blend. Combine half a cup of frozen tart cherries, Montmorency if you can find them, with half a cup of red flesh dragon fruit cubed. Add one small Bosc pear, skin on, cored, and chopped. Blend with 4 ounces of cold water. Drink this 90 minutes before bed. That timing matters. It places the tart cherry melatonin and anthocyanins where they support sleep onset while giving the dragon fruit's prebiotic fiber time to begin its transit before you settle in. Each ingredient earns its place. The tart cherry brings naturally occurring melatonin alongside anthocyanins that act directly on liver tissue inflammation, 2 mechanisms that compound rather than simply add. The dragon fruit carries prebiotic oligosaccharides that feed gut bacteria and drive propionate production, suppressing your liver's tendency to generate new fat deposits overnight. The pear, skin on without exception, delivers the highly methylated pectin that captures bile acids before they recirculate, reducing the recycling burden on a liver already working hard. If you have a sensitive stomach or no blender, eat these deconstructed. Pear first, then dragon fruit, then tart cherries, in that order, inside the same 90-minute window. A patient I will call Raymond came to me at 69, not because he was tired, but because his thinking had begun to slow in the evenings. Sharp through the morning, functional at lunch, then something like static settling behind his eyes by 6 or 7 at night. He had been eating what he believed was a clean diet for 2 years: grilled chicken, brown rice, a piece of fruit. He could not understand why 4 pounds had quietly arrived and refused to shift. His blood work was direct. His GGT, gamma-glutamyl transferase, an enzyme that rises early when liver cells are under oxidative stress, sat at 68 units per liter. The reference range tops out at 55. Not alarming in isolation, but in the context of his symptoms and his age, the liver was signaling that the evening routine was working against it. We changed 2 things. He shifted to the 3 evening fruits described here, timed as I have outlined, and he began 5 minutes of slow nasal breathing before sleep, which research associates with reduced overnight cortisol and improved vagal tone, both of which bear directly on liver inflammation. By week 5, his GGT had dropped to 47. His evening fog had lifted by week 3. Raymond is not remarkable. He is what happens when the liver gets a real window. Here is a 5-step plan to begin tonight. Step 1 is something you can do in the next 60 minutes. Check your fruit supply. Look for frozen Montmorency tart cherries, red flesh dragon fruit, and Bosc pears with unbroken skin. Write down anything missing and purchase it within 2 days. Step 2 is to set one evening eating boundary. Choose a cutoff between 7 and 8 o'clock and hold it. Your Liver Reset Evening Blend lands inside that window. Step 3 is to prepare the blend on 3 consecutive evenings this week. Not 7, 3. Behavioral research shows that 3 close repetitions build a habit pathway more effectively than scattered attempts across 2 weeks. Step 4 is to track one morning marker, your mental clarity in the first hour after waking, rated 1 to 10 daily. A number forces an honesty the feeling alone cannot. Step 5, if you want full structure, is to look into the 7 p.m. rule. Not required. But if you want daily timing charts, a tracker, and a framework for discussing these results with your own physician, that program was built for exactly that gap. The link is on screen. One boundary worth naming. If you are experiencing persistent nausea without a clear cause, if your appetite has dropped noticeably over several weeks, or if you take medications your pharmacist has flagged for liver processing, do not rely on fruit alone. These fruits support a liver under early metabolic stress. They are not a treatment. If your body is signaling something louder than what I have described, that conversation belongs in a physician's office, not a kitchen. Before I let you go, I want to tell you what the next video covers. There is a habit millions of people perform within 30 minutes of waking every day, believing it supports their metabolism. It is sold in nearly every pharmacy in the country and carries decades of reputation as a morning health ritual. The problem is that for adults over 60, the timing and form in which most people use it can interrupt the liver's overnight repair cycle, quietly undoing a portion of the clearing work your liver just completed while you slept. I will name it plainly, explain the mechanism, and give you the exact adjustment that preserves every benefit without the cost. That video goes up this Thursday. What I want you to carry from tonight is this. Your liver has been working in your favor for decades, quietly, without recognition, without complaint. What I've described here is not dramatic. It is a small act of reciprocity, giving that organ the conditions it needs to do the work it was already built to do. For adults in their 60s and 70s, that window is still open. The body responds when you stop working against it. If this is the kind of medicine you come here for, subscribe and stay. This is not a channel built on alarm. It is a community built on a single belief that 60 is not a ceiling, it is a foundation. Your liver does not need a miracle tonight. It needs a window. Open it.